Hello, my name is Daniel Burns, and today I'm doing my project on American photographer James Casebere. Here's a quote from someone who interviewed him. Casebere has consistently devised increasingly complex models and photographs them in the studio, based solidly on an understanding of architecture as well as art as a historical and cinematic sources. Casebere's abandoned spaces are hauntingly evocative. Again, he was born in 1953 in Lansing, Michigan, and grew up outside of Detroit. He first attended Michigan State University in 1971. Then in 1973, he transferred to Minneapolis College of Art and Design. He graduated in 1976 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts. The following year, in 1977, to further his education, he attended the Whitney Independent Study Program in New York. He later moved to Los Angeles in 1978, and while living there, he studied under Doug Hubler, an American photographer born in 1924 and died in 1997, and John Baldassari, another American photographer well known, who's still alive today, born in 1931. In 1979, Casebere received a Master's of Fine Arts from Cal Arts after that following year of studying in California. James is well known for creating highly detailed handmade miniature models of different scenes to photograph. Casebere's early work is primarily focused with postmodern artists who emerged during the 1980s. Casebere's early work featured images of the typical American suburban home. He loved to create details and small scenes of these homes, and his work was followed by sculptural installations and photographs of the American West, often in a humorous light. So you'll notice as we move on through these photos, even it doesn't matter the context, his photos have some sort of a humor to them. If something's off or something's befitting, something like that. He lives and works in New York today, and of course he's still alive. This is one of his first photographs, his early photographs here. It's called A Fan as Udemust, relaxing on an exhausting day at the beach. And it's funny because the fan is actually relaxing. Seems like he's worked up from cooling off the house, and so he's unplugged from the wall there, so he's disconnected in a way. And as we move along through his photos, you'll see his details of or detail in a photo and in the scene have gotten considerably better. Like when he started out, he just used cardboard and paper. Then he adjusted to fine details and it's almost an artwork. It really is. Here's from the same series. This is called Fork in the Refrigerator. It seems like someone got angry and stabbed a fork in the refrigerator. This is probably to simulate some sort of anger of hunger, once again you can see it's cardboard and paper. Here's from the same series. This is it has an interesting name, and you'll notice he used black and white photography all the way up until digital photography was well used and transferred to high detailed color. Here's the last one from that series. This is it looks to be rats coming out of a TV closet sort of thing, which is kind of strange. Now this is one of his most famous pieces. This is called Green Staircase Number 1, part of a series of the Green Staircase. And this is what I did my last project on, where it just the light bouncing off the different objects, the room. You have the highly detailed wainscoting on the walls, the different use of color, where you can have the tan color with white trim, and then this really green wall here, and you can even see the wood grain if you go to another photo, which we'll go to, and you can see the wood grain in the floor. And he actually used it's not actually water, and it looks like water, and the light bounces off it just like water. He actually used like a gel liquid. This is hard set; it's permanent. Here's another photo in the series, and this is interesting because he changed the lighting and he changed the angle, so that really changes the mood of the photo. Here's once again another angle. This is from the side. You can see more of the details that he put in on his photo. Almost looks like you could live there, except it's unfortunately flooded, so you have more sense of feeling and loss of this American-looking home. Here's another one of his photos that's also underwater. He loved to make these underwater scenes or flooded. and it's kind of funny. You can see the doors kind of shifted, and so that's more of the humor that you can see inside his photos. Um, and you love the details of the the light bouncing off the yellow walls, making everything warm and inviting, even though it looks like it'd be cold and damp. You can see the water kind of stops at the doors, so it's not as consistent as you'd think like real water would be. So there's more of the humor put in there. It's like just trapped and encased in this certain room. Here's another one. This is more eerie and spooky. You can see some sort of cloud or fog on top of the water substance here in this room. The darker colors and the lighting simulates this sad, darker scene, and that's look at the detail he put in with the rope and the lever system. Now here's another different photo. He didn't really always do little small scenes. Here's one of his only or few big major scenes. Seems like a house that's been blown apart. It's called Tree Trunk with Broken Bungalow and Shotgun Houses. Um, Here's another one of his early photos. It's called Library 2, made in 1980. Uh, you can tell it's all cardboard and plaster, and you can definitely see. But there's the amount of detail put in though, because you can see each railing. And doors are some are open, some are closed. There's lighting coming in from what looks like a window probably. And now getting into his later work, this is from 2009. This is called Landscape with Houses, Dutchess County, New York. He loved architecture and creating many different scenes and neighborhoods. And I'm sure if he were to play SimCity or some sort of game like that, he would really be into that, building neighborhoods and things. And this would take many hours of work, maybe over a year. And as we move along, you'll see he's used this scene over a couple years. Um, and this more modern use of more vivid color is very present in the scene. You can see all the trees and all the grass and everything. And you can see he changes the light. So here's another photo from the series, also made in 2009. It's called Landscape with Houses, Dutchess County, New York, #2. So not very special in names there, but #1, #2 gets the point. You can see the lighting has changed. It looks like the sun has set, or it's almost set, or it could be really early morning and the sun is rising. It's up for interpretation. And the color changes, the mood changes too. So it depends on the way you look at it. Here's another one of his photos, and this is part of a series where he also is messing with lighting, but different types of lighting. So this is in 2011. This is called Landscape with Houses, Dutchess County. Once again, he's using the same set that he's created, because might as well, you put so much detail into something. You can go from many different angles, thousands of pictures probably. See the use of his political statement of renewable energy. You can see his fans and the solar on the roofs, and it's just interesting that he puts those in. Going to the next photo in the series, you can see it's on fire for some reason, and there's fire in the background. Once again, this is more of a political statement to the use of overcrowding of houses, and then industry can burn things, and things can go wrong. Anything can be disrupted. You can see the lighting change with the smoke. You can see it's after it's burnt. The houses are burnt down, and there's some fire in the background still. That one house is still on fire for some reason. And you can tell going through the different photos and go back, this really quaint little neighborhood, nothing could happen, and then it changes drastically, and the color just dramatically shifts. It's good. So going to the next one in the series, this is how he made it. This is kind of like a behind the scenes. You can see that there's a house falling off, and this is actually a photo he used. This is not just a behind the scenes. It's an actual series, part of the series, and this is 2012, so he's still using the same sets, still using the same methods, and it's just quite unique. Here's one of a more recent one in 2013. This was a response to the 2008 housing market crashing. You can see the difference between good and bad. This is called Jamaica. It's highly detailed. You can see the water. There looks to be some fog at early morning. The lights in a certain angle. And you can see this is more, once again, of behind the scenes, although this is what he's turned into his own scene here. And here's the last photo I'll show. This is after a recent hurricane in 2014. I don't remember which one. It was on the west coast, and East Coast. And You can see a house just torn off for some reason. Significance of his work, Casebere has made tons of models of handmade construction scenes, such as instruction. So prisons, hospitals, schools, and they're so unique and high detailed in real life. He's been able to master architecture and construction of detail just as the real thing. Um, he has made a significant contribution to photography. His subjects having both of and for the times, ideologically, politically, and quite literally, they have dealt with distribution of operation of authority and development of critical method of representation by way of fabrication, meaning he's creating exact replicas of buildings and structures in different scenes with changing them to tell a story. So the fabricating the narrative to endure certain feelings of from the viewer.